Well, it's 12:05. Shall we start? Thank you. Love that bell. Welcome to the Braden and Kiwanis Club Zoom meeting. It's great to see everybody. And to get started with Ed Cleveland giving us our invocation.
I'll pray together if you would. Father, we ascend to the throne today with hearts that are sometimes troubled and sometimes heavy, but we're also grateful, Father, for a God that looks over us and cares for us. We're thankful for the Braden and Kiwanis Club, where we serve the community and serve the children of our community. We're thankful for that opportunity. And now, Father, we pray that you will bless our meeting together. Will you overlook us and see our needs and meet them? And we have faith that that will happen. Today, in our community, in our state, in our nation, and around the world, because we know this is all in your hands. And now, Father, bless us as we meet together. If we're eating, bless the food that we're partaking. Help us to serve you and to serve this community. In Christ's name we'll ask it. Amen.
Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. So I am going to introduce Mary Ruiz. Some of you, she's spoken in front of our club a few times before, and some of you probably know Mary because she's been very involved in our community, especially with Centerstone when she was the CEO there. So Mary is currently the CEO of Ruiz Strategic Advisors. It's a management consultancy specializing in strategic planning for growth companies. She was a healthcare CEO and chief strategy officer. She had extensive experience in healthcare startups, value-based risk contracting, and physician practice management, chronic disease care, and innovative health delivery systems. Mary, has been involved in our community for a very long time with mental health issues. As you all know, she's spoken in front of us when we were in the middle of the opioid epidemic and spoke regarding all of that, helping us to understand what was going on in our own community, being the epicenter that we were. She's been recognized as a national and state leader in government relations. In 2014, she received the Individual Achievement and Advocacy Award from the National Council for Behavioral Health Care. She was honored as a Healthcare Champion of the Year for 2012 by Behavioral Health Magazine. Now, Mary is here today to present to us on New College. She's a gubernatorial appointment to the New College Board of Trustees, and she's currently serving as vice chair, I think, but we'll let her explain that to us. She's also a member of the International Women's Forum that has 7,000 women leaders in over 33 countries. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn over to Mary. Welcome.
Thank you, Christy. Hello, Braden and Kiwanis, and friends and neighbors. It's good to see you all. And I want to thank you for your interest in New College and your support for education in general in this community. And it's really good to be with you here today. So for openers, I thought I'd give you some background on my alma mater, New College of Florida. It's an independent public honors college in the state university system. It's the smallest one. It has about 700 students. And to graduate, each student signs 7 contracts with faculty sponsors, and they have to demonstrate mastery in those areas that they've contracted for. There are no grades. It's pass-fail. You either did it or you didn't do it. There's 1 faculty member for every 8 to 10 students. And those faculty members are focused on teaching. Sometimes faculty are split between research and teaching and publishing. And although New College faculty do research and they do publish, typically they do it with their own students. So it's a unique model, and a lot of students develop a kind of hybrid degree program based on their interest. I was interested in public administration and economics and political science, and so my degree was in urban studies. It was a degree that I pulled together with my faculty members, and they told me the things I needed to pursue in order to graduate with that degree. The students are smart. It's an honors college. The curriculum is accelerated. Many of the students, by the time they graduate, are already in graduate level work. Everyone completes a thesis to graduate. That's an undergraduate thesis. And about 80% of the alums go on to graduate school within 6 years finishing New College. So that's just a little bit about the college and the college experience. I wanted to talk about how New College ranks also in relation to Florida schools and also in relation to national schools. It has the lowest cost to students of any of the state universities. Our combined fees and housing and tuition are the lowest cost to students. So our students end up with less debt, which every parent and every graduate truly appreciates. The only public colleges that regularly rank higher than New College in the influential US News and World Report rankings are our military academies. Because the military academies, like New College, are liberal arts residential schools. New College is the top college in Florida for per capita Fulbright scholars. We produce more Fulbright scholars than per capita than any other college in Florida and many colleges outside of Florida. And we're also the top college in the nation for the percent of our graduates who go on to get PhDs. So our students are populating the elite graduate schools, academic teaching positions, research positions, medical positions, professional positions, because they've earned that highest level of education. So New College says it prepares intellectually curious students for lives of great achievement. That's pretty bold, pretty bold statement. And I wanted to talk with you about some of the alums who live up to that promise. Robert Billett is a name that you might not know, unless I tie him as the activist attorney who was portrayed by Mark Ruffalo in the recent 2019 movie Dark Waters. He took on DuPont, who was poisoning local water streams. R. Derek Black is another name you may or may not know, but he was nationally famous as the heir apparent to America's white nationalist movement. Now, why that child chose to go to New College, I cannot tell you, but I can tell you what happened after he went there. He changed his mind. He distanced himself, and I'm sure that cost him personally friends and relationships with family from that movement, and chose to take another path with his life. Margie Ensign, who was one of my classmates, she is the first female president of the American University in Nigeria, and that became important when Boko Haram kidnapped 200 schoolgirls. And when they were returned, they were so traumatized, officials and leaders realized they couldn't just return them to their villages. And Margie opened her university as the place where those girls could live as they tried to work through their trauma and continue their schoolwork and adjust to everything that had happened to them. Scott Baker is a global marine scientist working to save the whales and dolphins. And I remember him out on the bay working with those dolphins as a New College student. Bill Thurston has passed away, but he is one of the few human beings on this earth who has won the very prestigious Fields Prize for math. I can't even tell you what his field was because I don't understand it, but he is one of the top mathematicians in the world. Debbie Haken was also a classmate of mine. She became the first female rabbi to take on a temple in the Northeast United States. Lincoln Diaz-Balart is a former US congressman from Miami. And his brother, Jose Diaz-Balart, is the only telecaster to simulcast currently as both an English television anchor for NBC and a Spanish language anchor for Telemundo. That man works 7 days a week. Bill Dudley just retired from the head of the New York Federal Reserve. Carol Flint is a former Manatee Players staffer, now our Performing Arts and soon to rebrand with another name. And she won an Emmy as an executive producer working on shows such as West Wing and ER. So New College is small, but its contribution to Florida and the US and even the globe is really large. And so the question of how Florida might best be served by New College really came into sharp focus during our last legislative session. On February 12th, the Florida House Education Subcommittee passed a committee bill merging New College with Florida State University. It was news to New College, it was news to Florida State University. And also merging Florida Polytechnic into University of Florida. So I think this kind of rattled our sense of any future and alarmed the college. It also caused Integrity Florida and Florida Tax Watch to suggest the legislative approach might be improved with time for more careful study, with public comment, with a plan. So the bill was amended. I didn't say improved, I said amended. The bill was amended. New College is now to be acquired, not merged, by the University of Florida. And just to show you that legislators do have a sense of humor, Representative Carlos Guillermo Smith of Orlando had a little fun at the expense of the bill sponsors by proposing his own amendment. He calls for Polytechnic and New College to merge with UCF instead. Go Knights! Bill sponsors say the merger will save money. New College is 1% of the entire state university budget, 1%. Bill sponsors say that New College's cost per degree and administrative percentages are too high. Of course, that's going to be true for smaller institutions versus larger ones, just by the math. But, you know, my question is, too high for the return on investment? Bill sponsors say that New College enrollments are down, and they are, at New College and nationwide. We don't have as many students going to college as we have in years past. But for me, notably absent in the debate is whether the quality and the unique educational mission of New College is going to be sustained. So I think you all know how the story ends. New College President Don O'Shea goes to Tallahassee, meets with many legislatures. Our local representatives, Will Robinson and the younger Buchanan and Senator Joe Gruters, oppose the bill. Margaret Goodman, Congressman Buchanan, holds a press conference opposing the bill, which kind of shows the national level of concern. And leaders and supporters in the community are calling and emailing and writing letters and creating a kind of firestorm of opposition, because in the last 60 years that New College has been in existence, this community has benefited and supported, sent their kids, raised money for the college to found it, raised money for the college to enhance it. And so there's a big investment in this community, in that college. You know how the story ends. The Speaker of the House, Oliva, by March 6th, that might have been the longest 3 weeks in my life, between February 12th and March 6th. Speaker of the House, Oliva, announces that the bill is not going to be put to vote in the House because there's insufficient support in the Senate. And we have Bill Galvano to thank for that insufficient support in the Senate, which killed it in the House. So I think, to be honest, a near-death experience like that has got to be a cause for a lot of soul searching. When I entered New College as a student, it was a financially struggling private college, and the University of South Florida was watching us go down, not taking any pleasure in it, I'm sure, but they noticed that we had 144 acres right on the bayfront. And they needed a branch campus for Sarasota Manatee. So they approached the college about basically a land transfer if the college went down. And new college president at the time, Arlen Christianer, we know him also as the former president of the Ruiz School of Art, negotiated somewhat better terms, which resulted in the continuation of New College as a public college and on a shared campus with USF. And I have to say, having lived as a student during those times, having served on the Board of Trustees after those times, that arrangement was never an easy educational governance model. To pair a large university with different needs with a small university with different concerns. And so in 2001, the legislature established New College as an independent member of the state university system. We had the president of the Senate, McKay, working on that with former legislator Bob Johnson. And I just want to note that it's after that time as an independent college that New College garnered all of its national rankings. The college has grown since that time from 500 students to 700. In the last few years, the legislature has invested in the further growth of New College to 1,200 students by 2024. And these upfront investments are part of what raised our administrative costs and our cost per degree. The enrollment targets have not been met. We have struggled with that, and it has raised our cost per degree. And it calls the question, you know, does this moment in New College history merit the end of one of the most successful educational innovations in the state and the nation? Does Florida want to preserve this unique option as a choice for future students, or blend it into its generalized, very fine educational offerings in another institution? I think New College has taken the lessons of this legislative session to heart. The college just achieved its largest increase in the state university system performance metrics. And these performance metrics are things like, what percentage of kids do you graduate? What percentage of the first year class do you retain? What kind of debt do students end up with? There are various metrics that focus on the mission. And New College has had the largest increase in its history and earned $4 million in performance bonuses. So I think that it has been focused on those metrics that legislators care about and that the Board of Governors has set as our guidepost. It's also been so successful in integrating career services into its degree programs, which is not something people think of. Oh, it's a liberal arts school. It's not a vocational school. It's not a technical school. It's not a professional school. But we want our kids to have good careers. That's what we're preparing them for. And so our alums, 6 years after graduation, earn a median salary of $65,000. This is nearly double the $32,790 median salary for all of Florida's graduates. So the notion that a liberal arts education isn't viable on the market is certainly being challenged by that metric. And of course, as if a threat to our very existence weren't challenging enough, there's COVID-19. We are a residential campus. The kids live on campus, but we have had no reported cases. I think that's a credit to administration. In 2 weeks in March, New College went from 0 classes online to 100%. We graduated the largest class that we have in a long time. So the students were able to complete their education, those that were seniors. We're addressing our enrollment. We're doing a national search for a new admissions director. We received over 200 applications. So clearly the professionals in the field feel like this problem can be licked. And we're offering a more flexible option to parents who during COVID-19 may not want to send their kids far away. We're going to extend the distance that we allow kids to commute to campus. And also, of course, on our residential campus. Every kid will have a single room, and we're going to put increased protocols in. All of our classes are already small, so social distancing for us in class is not going to be a challenge. So I think that what's happened is that our deposits this year versus last year are even, so we've not lost ground, and that's very encouraging. And we hope to move ahead, because people are delaying their decisions naturally to try and figure out what's the right thing to do for their college-bound students. The students don't want to delay. You know, they're teenagers ready to launch. They want to go to college, and so we're trying to make that possible for more of them. So I was talking about how New College may have a branding problem because of the term liberal arts, and our most popular degree is in computer science, which is not maybe the image that people have. And our first master's program is in data science, big data. We're working with companies solving real world problems. New College offers an individualized course in natural and social sciences and arts and humanities. And this isn't a time that kind of swims against the tide, because we tend to be generally focused on general degrees that are principally vocational, technical, and professional. And yet the residential liberal arts college is the original model for Western education. It's still the model for our Ivy League colleges, for our military colleges. And so I just feel like the smart money is still betting on a liberal arts education. And when I talk to people like Bill Dudley, who headed the Federal Reserve in New York, or John Craner, who was worldwide CEO of Kentucky Fried Chicken, both men, one got a PhD from Berkeley and the other went on to Harvard, I believe it was. Both men say that they would not have been as effective in their roles if they hadn't had that undergraduate degree, a liberal arts degree from New College. So Forbes magazine recently penned an article by Willard Dix that argues for the value of the kind of education that New College offers. And it goes like this, because this really speaks to my experience at New College. A liberal arts education can be very frustrating. It forces students to see multiple viewpoints and continually change their own. It removes the comfort of assuming there are right answers to big questions, that civilization moves in a linear fashion, or that facts are facts, no matter who looks at them. In times of great division, the capacity to see other viewpoints and the imperative to assess one's own become more and more important. A liberal arts education works for us, no matter what our political leanings are. We need it now more than ever. And that was written in 216. And I think it applies more today than anything. So I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak, and I want to welcome any questions that you might have if you have time.
So where is this college? I'm fairly new to the area. Where is it located?
So it's on the border of Manatee and Sarasota counties on US 41. It's on either side of the campus. It's right next door to the Ringling Museum.
I've passed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Sounds amazing.
It is amazing. It's a real asset to our community, because there's also the effect of drawing students from all over the nation to our area. I was raised in New Orleans. I couldn't have told you where Sarasota and Manatee were to save my life as a student, but I came here and I stayed, and I invested my career and my heart in this community. And you can either thank or blame New College for that.
This is Carol. I have a question, Mary.
Hi, Carol.
Hi. Great presentation, by the way. Really
Thank
well
you.
done. Do you anticipate this issue will come up again in the legislature? And if so, have you already begun work in that regard?
Yes, I think that this is going to be an interesting year for the legislature. There's definitely going to be a special session at some point. to address whatever impact COVID-19 is having on our revenue and expense projections for the state. Senator Galvano has issued not one but two memos saying, don't do it now. We have higher revenues to date than were projected. We have the rainy day fund. We have the federal monies. And so this is not the time to do that. We need to wait. We have time to see how things unfold. So I do think there will be a special session, whether it's before or after the election remains to be seen. Florida, if it has poor revenue or increased expenses, is going to have to cut. And education and healthcare, as you know, Carol, are always at risk. I think it remains to be seen whether there's any appetite for merger talk again. I think the House might feel a little burned that they went to all this effort and the Senate did not support the initiative. They may not feel that they want to entertain that again. But I also think that the college needs to step up its government relations game. Many colleges have full-time government relations staff. A new college does not. And so the Board of Trustees has stepped up with a special committee. We are raising private dollars because you can't use public funds for a strategic political communication firm that is going to get our accomplishments out to the legislatures, begin a dialogue, provide an exchange of what information they're interested in, establish relationships, and work with our lobbying firm so that there is, the time to communicate is not when there's a crisis. We have to have relationships beforehand, and I think legislators were at a disadvantage. They really did, a lot of them had never heard of the college. They were having to make a decision without really enough information. So we've contracted with a firm. We're having our kickoff meeting next week, and we will be working on increasing the exchange of communication with our influencers and decision makers of the state.
Thank you so much. It's always interesting to hear about the accomplishments of New College, and to have such an elite school right in our backyard is really cool. And it's a feather in our cap.
Indeed it is. And you know, if you looked at the names of the original board, there's some familiar names on there, like Bob Blaylock and others. My father-in-law raised money for New College. He thought his son was going to go there. He did not, but he got a daughter-in-law out of it. So I think that's a good return on it.
Well, that's awesome. Well, you know, we have a golden rule for our speakers. You may have a closet full, so we'll have to come up with
Well, I have one or two.
We'll come up with a golden yardstick or something. But,
There you go.
we definitely do appreciate you being here and talking with us. I want to remind everybody that we're having a board meeting tomorrow via Zoom, and look for an email from Dave Grantham with those details. Again, I'd like to welcome Mike. If you're interested in volunteering with Hope for Communities, talk to Janine. And if anybody has any other thoughts or questions, now's the time. Yes, Barbara, you're muted.
Thanks. I see Alex isn't on, and we Satellite Club has a meeting tomorrow evening at Motorworks at 6 p.m.
I just looked it up.
Perfect.
Okay.
Satellite Club meeting at Motorworks, 6 p.m.
Correct.
in a socially distant, appropriate way, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. Well, hearing nothing, appreciate y'all being here. Hope to see most of you or any of you at the board meeting tomorrow. Mac is ready with the bell, so we'll see you later. Have a great day. Stay safe.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.